The Greatsword is back in Monster Hunter Wilds, and it's better than it's ever been. If you clicked on this video because you wanted to use a huge weapon that gives you those huge dopamine rushes from the huge damage that you're going to be dealing instead of clipping some toenails with something like the Sword and Shield in Monster Hunter, well then you're in the right place. And with the triumphant return of this super big dopamine weapon, of course we're going to have a Terrorizer original weapon guide to give you the best damage combos of the Greatsword, but also to see what new mechanics it has and what it's actually capable of. So I'm going to be taking you through a step-by-step guide in the training area with the Greatsword to show you all that it's capable of. So whether you're a newcomer or you're a series regular, I'm going to show you exactly what has changed with the Greatsword, or I'm going to show you everything that you need to know for this open beta. But first, disclaimer number one. This is an open beta for Monster Hunter Wilds. Some of the stuff is probably subject to change, although I don't really think it's going to. But with that being said, this is not indicative of a full release Greatsword guide, which we will have for Monster Hunter Wilds, as we're going to cover every single weapon when the game finally releases in February. Otherwise, there are timestamps down below, so you can get to the part that you need to know about. And of course, if I miss anything pretty notable about this Greatsword guide, please let me know in the comments down below. But without further ado, let's get into the training area and beat this barrel up. So if you're a beginner with the Greatsword, the first thing that you need to know is that this weapon is a very slow weapon. This is as fast as we can move with the Greatsword without the use of something like a roll. Now the Greatsword's main attack combos are actually pretty simple. If we press the triangle or Y button, we'll get an overhead slash, which does pretty decent damage. If we press the circle button, we'll get the wide slash, which the damage is okay, but it's usually good for hitting a lot of enemies in range. Next we press triangle and circle at the same time, or Y and B at the same time depending on the controller. This will give us the rising slash. Note that the rising slash does hit from the back. Now by pressing a combination of these buttons, we can actually chain these together. You can do any combination you want. Now the best combo you can actually do with the Greatsword is none of what I just showed you. What I just showed you is very important for hitting enemies in a moment's notice. Now if you have the time for it, this next combo consists of pressing triangle or Y 3 times in succession. We go from the charge slash into strong charge slash into the true charge slash. Next, let's talk about what makes the Greatsword so great, the charge slashes. Now there's 3 different ways to charge your Greatsword. One is by holding down the triangle button, and we can actually charge up our normal overhead slash. We can even continue the whole triangle combo and keep holding the button down for good damage. But note that you have to release it at the right time to get the best damage. On a typical charge slash, if we hold it down too long, we don't get as good damage. But if we let go on the third sound effect and the red flash, we'll get better damage than you just saw. So timing your charge slashes can be a little bit tricky if you're not used to them. It comes with practice and over time. However, if you think you need to delay your attack, there's nothing wrong with delaying your attack to make sure that you get the hit on a monster. Another way to get a charge slash is actually by sliding down a hill or a slope. When you're running down a steep incline and you start sliding, if you press and hold the triangle button, you can actually get a rising slash. And you can follow up with the plunging thrust into a strong wide slash. And it also goes into true charge slash. Alright, now we did just see a few new things, so let's go over them individually. As I stated before, sliding down a slope and pressing the triangle button will get you a rising slash. You can charge it down or you can not charge it. It's up to you. This move can be followed up with a plunging thrust. Following this easy combo up further, after the plunging thrust, we just press triangle or circle again to get a wide slash. And that's how we go from a shortcut into the true charge slash. So making use of terrain can actually be extremely beneficial for the Greatsword. Now talking about jumping attacks, we can get a jump out of a slide, or if we jump off of a ledge, we can press the triangle button to get a jumping charge slash. And yes, it does say jumping charge slash because we can charge this up. This can be followed up into the strong charge slash, and of course into the TCS combo. What's more is we can actually press the right trigger to go straight into the plunging thrust. And of course that goes straight into the strong wide slash. As you may have noticed, the wide slash did look powered up there, and that is because it was a charged wide slash. The charged wide slash can be accessed through the slope as you just saw, or you can access it after the level 2 swing. So this is the charge slash, or we can go into a strong charge slash. After this, we can actually press the circle button to get straight into the strong wide slash to extend our combo, and finally into the true charge slash by pressing triangle or Y. So there are powered up versions of the overhead slash and the wide slash. And new to Monster Hunter Wilds is actually a powered up version of the rising slash. Typically, the rising slash looks like this. But now we can actually hold the combination of triangle and circle, or Y and B together, to get the charge rising slash. Now the same thing applies, we can actually hit an enemy from the back with this attack. Now this attack doesn't exactly combo into anything, but it could be useful if you want to hit an enemy on the back or the front, depending on if the monster is moving. You're way more guaranteed to actually land a blow. But this move actually has a special property, which we're gonna have to demonstrate on a monster. Now on this Chotacabra, as you can see, you can actually time the offset slash to get a counter. Then if you press triangle after that, your hunter will use the hook slinger to close the gap, ending in the follow-up cross slash attack. Now let's talk about shortcuts to get into the true charge slash, which is unarguably the best damage that you can do with the greatsword. We have an attack known as the tackle. The tackle could be accessed in a few different ways. When we start charging a slash, if we can actually interrupt and cancel it by pressing the circle button, and that'll grant us the tackle. It does a decent chunk of damage, and it actually has hyper armor on it. So you'll still take damage when you use the tackle if a monster hits you, but you'll be unaffected by the attack. This also applies for monsters' roars. We can do the tackle to cancel out of nearly every single charge attack. And like this, we can go straight into the true charge slash. The charge rising slash, however, cannot be tackled out of. You can evade out of it, however. Another way to access the tackle is actually by rolling and pressing triangle or Y immediately. Now, out of any tackle, we actually have a few different moves that we can do. Of course, we can go straight into a charge slash. But what we can also do is press R2 and the triangle or Y button together to get a side blow. This does blunt damage and is a very quick attack if you want to cancel out of things or maybe just get a little bit better positioning. After pressing tackle, we can also press the circle button to get the leaping wide slash, which also considerably moves your hunter. Wide slash is actually kind of an underrated attack as it does attack and gives you better positioning and moves your hunter forward. If you're super big brain with the greatsword, this attack can actually be used to great heights. After doing the weeping side slash, we can also press triangle to go straight into the side blow, which also moves your hunter. Note that after you do a tackle, you actually are in a little bit of end lag, so it's actually better, instead of dodging, it takes that long to dodge. But instead, if we do a side blow, we can dodge much faster. Holding the right trigger on any controller will allow your hunter to block. You can turn a little bit with your guard. You can also do an evade straight out of it, and you could possibly do the best move with the greatsword, known as the kick. Now, all jokes aside, the kick actually does have some uses. When you're sheathed with your weapon, there's not a really easy way to get into a tackle or to do some stuff that's a bit safer to go into your true charge slash. But this is something you can do in nearly every Monster Hunter game. You can go straight into a guard by just pressing the right trigger. This is useful for being defensive, but it also allows you access to get into a tackle really quickly, because you can do the tackle right after a kick. As I stated before, the best damage combo, if you have enough time for it, is by doing the 3 charge slashes. But after this one, we'll actually do the strong wide slash as well, to add an extra step in the combo. This is the best guaranteed damage in one combo for the greatsword, like I said though, if you have enough time for it. Best utilized on a monster knockdown. Otherwise, if you are short on time, you don't have to charge all of the attacks. You can actually just let them rip. Some damage is better than no damage after all. Last but not least, let's talk about the focus mode with the greatsword. Entering focus mode is done by holding the left trigger on any controller. This is a mode that actually is pretty universal between all the weapons. From here, we can press the R1 button to get our focus slash to perforate. We want to use a focus slash on a red glowing part of the monster to get extra wounded damage. On this barrel though, it's not possible to show. The focus mode with the greatsword actually has a pretty unique and interesting property though. So we can actually aim the charge slashes as long as we hold down the left trigger. We can start charging, but we can actually move our hunter. This is a huge, big addition to the greatsword. It means that we can line up our TCS no matter where the monster turns. Well, there you have it, guys and gals. Terra Knights, a greatsword guide for the first open beta for Monster Hunter Wilds. I gotta say, all things considered, the greatsword actually had kind of a triumphant return. I know I stated so in the beginning of the video, but the greatsword wasn't actually something I was intending on using in my first playthrough. But I gotta say, the ability to do a counter, but having to charge it and have it timed perfectly with the monster attack is super awesome. Now, the greatsword already did not have as much depth as other weapons, but with the addition of that counter attack, it just gains so much, man. Also, the ability to chain some of your old attacks in the middle of your TCS combos, for instance, is also just super amazing. I can't wait to see what this weapon actually has in store for us on the full launch of the game when we get really nitty-gritty with all of the details. But like I said, that is going to cover it for today's weapon guide, guys and gals. I hope you had a good one. If you're a newcomer and you clicked on this video, why did you choose the greatsword as your starting weapon? And if you're a returning player to the Monster Hunter series, what do you think is the coolest new addition? Please let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're on our way to a goal of 30,000 subscribers before the release of Monster Hunter Wilds, and every bit helps. And if you want to know more about any of the other weapons, we actually released a short guides video for every single weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds, so I'll have a link down below in the description of this video if you want a quick overview of what the other weapons are capable of to maybe get an idea of what your secondary weapon is. Now, if you're not in the know, I actually stream Monster Hunter World on a weekly basis, Thursday through Sunday. I stream both on Twitch and here on YouTube, so no matter the platform of your choice, come stop by and tell me what you liked about this video. But as I said before, that is all I have for today's video. Guys and gals, I hope you had a good one. Terra Knights, I'm signing off. This has been Terrorizer, and I'll catch you all in the next weapon guide. Peace!